Hello trucker family, this is Kevin with the trucker side. We're back with our weekly video of the great work that we do, the great work that the people around us do. Happy 4th of July to everybody. It's the 4th of July weekend. Happy Independence Day, 250 years of America. Congratulations, and again, happy Independence Day to everybody. We had a great week. Everybody had a great week, but we don't want to put all the trucks here. Nobody's gonna watch the entire video. We are going to start off with Reginald. Reginald is hauling a dry van. He had 3 loads this week. Started off in Carson, California, going to Searcy, Arkansas. 1,696 loaded miles, paying $5,500 for the average of $3.24 per mile. 40,000 pounds of food product. Second load of the week, Jonesboro, Arkansas to Aurora, Colorado. 977 loaded miles, 81 empty miles, paying $3,881 for the average of $3.97 per mile. 17,000 pounds of plastic products. Light load, good money, very nice. Third load of the week, Fort Collins, Arkansas to Sheridan, Wyoming. Fort Collins, Colorado to Sheridan, Wyoming. 368 loaded miles, 77 empty miles, paying $1,700 for the average of $4.62 per mile. 45,500 pounds of beer. Wednesday to Tuesday, 6 days of work. Reginald gross $11,081 for the truck for 3,041 loaded miles, 158 empty miles, totaling 3,199 miles, for the average of 364 on the loaded and 346 on the total. Very strong work, Reginald, very strong work dispatch. You are doing great. Next off we have Mike. Mike is hauling a reefer. He had 2 loads. I guess we should call them 2 loads, but just wait for this. These 2 loads, first one was one peak 13 dropper, picking up in Tyler, Texas, going to Visalia, California, 2 drops, Hanford, California, Clovis, California, Fresno, California, 2 drops, Merced, California, Turlock, California, Modesto, California, Riverbank, California, Manteca, California, Tracy, and Stockton, California. 1,865 loaded miles, paying $7,000 for the average of $3.75 per mile. 30,000 pounds of plant rex, temperature set at 65 degrees continuous. Then for the second load of the week, Mike still didn't give up, putting some more hard work with a 3-pick, 1-dropper, picking up in Watsonville, California, Salinas, California, and Gonzales, California, going to Denver, Colorado. 1,255 loaded miles, 126 empty miles, paying $6,300 for the average of $5.02 per mile. 19,000 pounds of refrigerated grocery, temperature set at 36 degrees. Monday to Monday, 7 days of work, Mike grossed $13,300 for 3,120 loaded miles, 126 empty miles, totaling 2,690 miles, for the average of 426 on the loaded miles and 410 on the total. Fantastic performance. Yes, $4.10 for the whole week. Very solid work, everybody. Then we have Philip. Philip is hauling a dry van, had 5 loads this week. Good job on the 5 loads. Not easy work for sure. Started off in Albany, Georgia, going to Shreveport, Louisiana. 616 loaded miles, paying $2,100 for the average of $3.41 per mile. 43,500 pounds of beverages. Then the second load of the week, Shreveport, Louisiana to Gadsden, Alabama. 513 loaded miles, no empty miles, picked up in the same place. $2,326 for the average of $4.53 per mile. 42,000 pounds of tires. We know that load took forever to get in the trailer. Then third load of the week, Douglasville, Georgia, going to Jupiter, Florida. 605 loaded miles, 97 empty miles, paying $2,757.54 for the average of $4.56 per mile. 25,500 pounds of black plastic pallets. Then the fourth load of the week, Jacksonville, Florida to Cartersville, Georgia. 389 loaded miles, 268 empty miles, paying $1,060 for the average of $2.72 per mile. 20,000 pounds of metal cans. And then the last load of the week, Lithia Springs, Georgia to Montgomery, Alabama, 170 loaded miles, 32 empty miles, paying $890 for the average of $524 per mile. 21,000 pounds of medical devices. All in all, 7 days of work, Monday to Monday, $9,133.54 gross to the truck for 2,293 loaded miles, 397 empty miles, totaling 2,690 miles for the average of 398 on the loaded and 340 on the total. Excellent job, considering that one full day was lost at the delivery in Cartersville, Georgia. Yeah, the week turned out pretty sweet after everything. Good job, Philip, good job, dispatch. Next off we have Patrick. Patrick is hauling a reefer, had 3 loads this week. Started off in Orange, Texas, going to Laredo, Texas, 427 loaded miles, paying $1,200 for the average of $281 per mile, 43,000 pounds of dry goods. Second load of the week, Laredo, Texas to Green Cove Springs, Florida, 1,201 loaded miles, no empty miles picked up in the same place, paying $4,300 for the average of $358 per mile, 43,000 pounds of avocados. And then the third load of the week, Lenox, Georgia to Chariton, Iowa, 1,043 loaded miles, 171 empty miles, paying $3,850 for the average of $369 per mile, 42,500 pounds of watermelons. All in all, Tuesday to Tuesday, 7 days of work, Patrick grossed $9,350 for the truck for 2,671 loaded miles, 171 empty miles, totaling 2,842 miles for the average of $350 on the loaded and $329 on the total. Great job, Patrick. Great job, dispatch. You guys are always doing a great job. I don't even know why I say it. I say it because you guys earn it. Then we have Tariq. Tariq had 3 loads this week. He's hauling a dry van, always a hard runner. Started off in Lenox, Georgia, going to Sonnet, Massachusetts, 1,194 loaded miles, paying $5,750 for the average of $482 per mile, 43,000 pounds of watermelon. $250 of the rate was a layover, indeed, and that was amounted in a total of $5,750. Then the second load of the week, Devons, Massachusetts to Johnstown, New York, 206 loaded miles, 80 empty miles, paying $1,000 for the average of $485 per mile, 44,000 pounds of food product. And then the last load of the week, Sprakers, New York to Plymouth, Indiana, 701 loaded miles, 14 empty miles, paying $2,100 for the average of $3 a mile, 43,000 pounds of agriculture chemicals and seeds. Driver assist was required. Of course, Tariq did a good job, got the load picked up, delivered. All in all, 7 days of work, Tuesday to Tuesday, Tariq grossed $850 for the truck for 2,101 loaded miles, only 94 empty miles, totaling 2,195 miles for the average of 421 on the loaded and 403 on the total. Very nice job. Very nicely done with the dry van. That's what I'm talking about. And lastly, we have Jay. Jay's hauling a flatbed. Had 2 loads for the week. The standard. 5 days of work. Started off in Aurora, Utah, going to Eagle Pass, Texas, 1,185 loaded miles, paying $2,600 for the average of $219 per mile, 47,000 pounds of drilling mud. And the second load of the week, Laredo, Texas to Ely, Nevada, 1,520 loaded miles, 125 empty miles, paying $7,800 for the average of $513 per mile, 44,000 pounds of steel poles. No tarp was needed. Driver should arrive at the shipper with proper protection equipment. Of course, that was not even a question. I don't know why we put this here. 5 days of work, Jay grossed $10,400 for the truck for 2,705 loaded miles, 125 empty miles, totaling 2,830 miles, for the average of $384 on the loaded and $367 on the total. Jay appears to have established a very highly efficient weekly pattern here. He just won't get out of the videos, which we love. Thank you, Jay. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Dispatch. You guys are doing a great job. Again, happy Independence Day to everybody. It's the 4th of July weekend. Thank you for watching this video. This is Kevin with the Trucker Side. Have a wonderful day.